There we go. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Thank you for coming by. So today we are going to jump right in and we're going to talk about judgment and how it holds everybody back. Not everybody, but it holds a lot of people back, including myself. It's something that I struggle with and have always struggled with. But as I become more aware of it, I can push through it more. And it's little steps at a time. But it's the one massive fear that holds so many people back from doing amazing things, doing creative things that speak to them and stepping out of their comfort zone and out of the norm. And that is the fear of judgment and letting others' opinions hold you back. I know I am guilty for it, very guilty for it. I still catch myself being wrapped up in what other people might think, and more often than not, it's all false. Yes, people are going to judge. That's inevitable. There are haters. There are people who hate to see other people moving forward. It scares them. It brings up a lot of fear and insecurity because it forces them to look at themselves. But putting that aside, I just want to kind of bring it, the main point is that being judged is going to happen. In order to master anything or go through the growth that's required to become the people that we want to be or that we have to be to do the things that we want or live the life that we want, we have to fall on our face. We have to look stupid. We have to mess up and make mistakes. It's the only way to grow and the only way to master anything. So having said that, we're going to look stupid. We're going to be judged, and we're going to give people a lot of reasons to judge us. But it's the only way to move forward, is to take action, fall on your face, and get back up and try again. And so people are going to judge. And that alone, just embracing that and saying, I'm going to be judged. There's going to be people who either judge me because I do look silly or judge me because they're insecure. But when we're 90 years old and it's too late to move forward with the things that we want to do and step out of our comfort zone and live the life that we really want to live, it's going to be too late. And that hater online or that aunt or uncle or cousin or sister or brother or parent, it's not going to matter what their opinion was when you're 90 years old and are sitting with regret. Their opinions aren't going to get you where you want to be. Their opinions are not going to make you money. Their opinions are not going to make you the person that you need to be. So the big picture, when we really unpack that fear of judgment and what others are going to think and say, the truth is it doesn't really exist. The fear is fake. The reality is there. Yes, we are going to be judged and it's going to hurt. But when we know where we're going and that judgment is a necessary step on that path or a necessary factor on that path, then we can embrace it as opposed to allowing it to be a blocker in our way. So I do have Kat with me today. She's on a journey, and she's been muted because she's in a train station, so it's pretty loud. I just want to make sure that Kat, just if you have anything to add, just jump in. She is.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to jump in right now before they start talking. Yeah, what you're saying is so true, and I would like to just say that people will judge you, and in fact, when you're the other side of the, when you've risen so many times from that fall, you finally learned that lesson, then you can, you turn around, you actually think, God, thanks for, having made fun of me, or I thought you were making fun of me, or whatever it was. Even if we know that it's because they're scared and they want, they're scared, they wouldn't do that. So how can we want to do that? Don't do that. Or, they're not really judging us as per se. That's what we think. That does help us in a way move forwards, because you turn around and you say, wow, if I hadn't thought that you were judging me, then I wouldn't have, you know, perhaps changed it a little bit or whatever, and gone out of my way to move past that hurdle, really, you know. And one thing that does come to mind also is Don Miguel Ruiz, his book in the Four Agreements, which I used to know by heart and off the back of my hand, so it's back there somewhere. But today, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit, my train is 3 hours delayed, so, you know, I'm perturbed. So yes, and what he says, in fact, is that society actually makes you be the judge of yourself. So in fact, the biggest fear and the biggest judger is yourself, because you think the other person's judging you, have no proof unless you ask them. They say, oh yes, I was judging you, but it's only their opinion. But yeah, society is very good like that, and it keeps you the judge, and it keeps you constantly in that circle, so that it has you in that particular place where they need you to be. Because if everyone went off the grid, it's a bit like the Matrix, you know, if everyone went off the grid in the Matrix, then, you know, I don't know what would happen. I don't have to watch that film again to get, you know, to the grasp of it. But I do know there are a couple that, you know, are not following the path, that are just going out where they're not supposed to be. And that's the same with us. And, you know, films are generally taken off real life, even if it is science fiction. I do remember, and this is the Toltec rule, right? So this is like eons of years old in South Americas and the Americas. So, you know, Brittany, you were brought up with this, so you know, it's especially true for you. We here in Europe are totally not with this, but, you know, I mean, it's true for everything. So society does really keep you in check and make sure that you are feeling this. And this is why when you become aware, you know, you stop watching the news, you stop doing this, you stop doing things that normal people do, so that you are, you know, you sort of out of that judgmental side of it, if you like, and you can acknowledge and take it on at face value. And then, yeah, you will always judge yourself. That's something that you're working on constantly, 24/7. Well, personally, I am anyway. But you just learn to quieten that, you know, that monkey brain or that judgmental voice, and just go with it, because you're so, you know, you're so much in action that you tend to sort of put it aside, and that is when you know that you're really winning. That's it. Webinar over. Bye. Yeah, let's stop doing that.
Yeah, no, it is a really good point. We are the biggest judge of ourselves, and that is something to be aware of, for sure. I was thinking of something, Kat. It came to me when you were talking, and I completely lost it. But I think for myself, like, if I was to just speak just really authentically about myself and my experience with this, is the more I'm in action mode, the more that fear doesn't exist. And there has been comments, and there has been questions, and I've actually caught myself when someone just asks me a question, I've caught myself feeling judged. And really, the truth is, it's only my insecurity of myself judging myself, because we do every single day. And especially like when it comes to self-expression and expressing ourselves, just our truths, just not thinking about what we say, we're just speaking from the heart. What's coming up for us, we're just sharing it. Then if we don't get the reaction or the response that we feel we need, then automatically we start judging ourselves, and we start holding ourselves back, and it's just this vicious cycle. Whereas when we can be aware of it, and we can be aware that it's there, we can catch ourselves judging ourselves. You know, like if I say something and someone's facial expression doesn't fit into the response I think I should be getting, or makes me uncomfortable, or whatever it might be, then automatically I start holding myself back. And what that brings up for me, just saying that alone, is the most powerful thing that we can do in this lifetime is not changing who we are for anybody, because we're going to attract the people that belong in our lives, and we are going to basically scare away the people who don't. When we just be ourselves and it makes someone uncomfortable, that person's not going to stay in our lives. That's just the law of the universe. We attract what we are, and we don't attract what we're not. So it's it's also a very important point, or it's something else that comes up, is it can be a great teacher for us. Judgment and opinions, it can be a great teacher, because if someone says something to you and right away you feel like you're putting up a wall, it's a really good time to take a step back and ask yourself why. If anyone can bring up any kind of emotions or feelings in us or make us feel insecure, it's because that insecurity already exists. So judgment and opinion, when it hurts, there's a lesson to be learned in that. And it takes practice. You're going to feel the hurt and the pain and the insecurity, and you're going to pull back. But even after doing that, just give yourself the time to take a lesson from it and understand why that's hurting you. It is something that I do actively now, and I do question myself a lot more, but it's taken me 2 years to be able to do that automatically. Whereas, 2 years ago, I would automatically be angry at that person and hurt myself even more, holding that grudge or holding that anger, or being defensive. Whereas now, if I can question my actions or question my feelings, it's a lot easier to just look at that person and know, is that person being sincere and asking me a question, and I'm feeling insecure because maybe I'm worried about how I sound. Maybe I'm insecure about my voice. Maybe I'm insecure about how much I use filler words like and Those are huge insecurities when you're talking. I know that myself personally, the word I use it a lot, and I'm trying to be aware of it. And as I'm more aware of it, the better I get. But it's not that person's face or response that's really truly making me feel insecure. It's just myself judging myself. So that all being said, I think it is actually a really good point in this discussion, is that judgment can really be a good teacher. And when you really pay attention and learn from it and allow it to teach you, then growth can happen quite quickly. So yeah, just
sorry, there was a huge noise just then, so I wasn't going to interrupt you.
No problem.
But that was very, very good points. Yeah, exactly. As I was saying, I think we all have monkey voices, or whatever you want to call them. But one phrase, for example, that I used when I discovered this, and Brittany says it takes 2 years. Well, I'm a little bit further down the road, but it's sometimes when shit hit the fan, we say, oh God, because a situation you didn't react well. You don't react how you're supposed to, or how you thought you would, or you did react how you were, and you didn't get these, the same answer, whatever it might be, and then that's it. You start all these questions again. So one little phrase that I've really found that is so helpful for me anyway, to get myself just make sure I'm on the right track, is, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn? And no matter how angry or hurt or upset or anything you are about the situation, and you start judging yourself, saying, oh God, I shouldn't have said that, I didn't do this, I did that, I didn't. It's like, okay, let's just stop here, and what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn? I didn't do that, I didn't say that. Yeah, that's a fact. Okay, we can look back on that and say that's a fact, and we can discuss this a zillion times and say, okay, well, I could have said this, and then this might have happened, or we can analyze that till the cows come home. But at the end of the day, you just have to learn to say, okay, stop that. A certain amount of time, I've noticed this actually, that men will just say, right, we won't discuss it anymore, let's just stop it. And they can do that, and that's really good. Whereas we women need to just constantly chatter. And I found that we need to chatter things out also sometimes, certain events or something. We just need to chatter them out. And once they're out, that's it, we can be dealing with them. But this is also why you sometimes have a little, there's a disconnect here with the men in your life, or your boys, or whatever it might be. Your sons, yeah. Careful, Brittany, it's coming. And you just need to, they'll go, well, we discussed this already, and you're like, yeah, but and it's not that you're trying to bring a point home or something. So just be aware of that. Try and find women with which you can just natter about it. We're quite happy to just natter, and then we won't even mention it anymore. But we do need that. So sorry, that aside, I've a little bit lost of the point that I was trying to make here. Yeah, So you have to stop judging yourself and going down that point. Once this has been, you know, out of your system and you've done all this, there's no point in reanalyzing the situation. You just say, okay, what's the lesson I'm supposed to learn? And that little phrase can be such a time saver, because otherwise you just go down that rabbit hole and you would constantly analyze, reanalyze, because at any given moment, the same situation could, of course, go 1,000 different ways, right? But this today, I happen to have gone this way, okay? So, yeah, we judge, we do this, okay, we talk about it to get it out our system, and it might take a couple of days for us women, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, you can immediately stop that, even if you still need to natter about it, with that question, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn? And then you analyze the situation and not what you could have said, what you couldn't have said. You said, okay, this is what happened, this is the result. So you analyze the result as opposed to analyzing how you could have got a different result. And that fine, tiny, you know, shift from analyzing, whereas, you know, the discussion and to the result, which is, you know, the end of the discussion, this is what happened, or, you know, your ad campaign, or whatever it happens to be, you know, your PhD, the guy didn't like the line you wrote, or, you know, you wore red and you're supposed to wear green, whatever it is, okay, what is the lesson? What didn't I take into account? What could I, you know, to get a different result? You just have to learn to analyze it a different way so that you can get a different result next time, hopefully. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time. You know, you won't get a different result tomorrow or the next time. It'll take, you know, time. And, you know, Brittany's just said 2 years. So don't be hard on yourself. Be kind. That's one of them, you know, since I've learned that, to be kind to myself is metamorphosize my work, my world, everything about me, because I was, you know, constantly flagellating myself. And I thought, hey, I'll just put a, you know, do this instead. And it's like, wow, okay, so, but that's another topic. But yes, just analyze the result as opposed to, you know, how you could have got a different result, because you won't. Next time, then you'll analyze, you know, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn? I'm going to mute myself now. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And it's point on. And just to bring what Kat was saying back to judgment and opinion, is if you're feeling judged, if you do have the courage to move forward and take an action that you might be afraid of, and as an online marketer, it might just be posting something on your personal page. I know that's a huge fear for people, because their past life influence isn't growing like they are, so they feel out of place. They feel like what they say is going to be rainbows and whatever, or it's going to be, you know, a big joke to the people that they know. So this is a known fear in our world, in this industry, and so I'm just going to use that as an example. But if you are feeling judged because of someone saying something, and you react in a certain way, or you say something back, or whatever it might be. Now we're talking about online. So you have time to think about this. You have time to ask yourself, what's the lesson in this? Why am I feeling attacked, or why am I feeling uncomfortable with this person's comment or opinion? You can have time to think about it. But when you're actually in a one-on-one discussion or a confrontation of some sort with someone, and one thing I've learned is that silence is okay. Silence holds much more power than anything, really. It can be really empowering when we get over the discomfort of silence. So if someone has said something to you and you're right in front of them and you get boiling inside, if you can embrace the silence of saying absolutely nothing and asking yourself that question of what Kat was just talking about, what's the lesson here? I'm feeling really angry and I want to say and do things that are going to hurt this person back, because that's often what comes out when we're feeling defensive. And if we can't just walk away or run away, we want to attack, and that's just nature. So just adding on to what Kat's saying, she's talking about after a situation, how not to go back and just sit and dwell on something you can't change, something you have no power over. So I'm just taking that same thing and putting you in the situation and just offering a solution of silence. Just use silence as a barrier before you act or react, so that you can ask yourself that question. What's the lesson here? I'm really insecure because what I'm doing, I don't even know about it yet. I know I can feel that it's something I want to do. I can feel passion around it. I can feel that I want to do this. I want to quit my job and go back to school even though I'm broke and I have no money. I want to travel the world and live with a backpack all over motels or whatever, and someone's telling you you're fucking crazy. What are you thinking? You're throwing your life away. You get defensive because you say, I don't really have an answer for that person. I don't have the full plan. Maybe I feel like I need a plan, but I don't have a plan. And you want to get defensive to that person asking the question and say, you know what, screw you. Like, I'm doing whatever I want. Or we say things that almost make us feel worse about what we're doing. Whereas if that person says that and you just take a minute, what's the lesson in this? I don't know the plan, and I need to be okay with that. And I need to let go of that insecurity. And you can say to that person, I don't have the plan, but I don't need to give you answers either. That's it. You know, like no one is entitled to answers from you. No one's entitled to know what your plan is or know whether you're going to be successful or not. You're only entitled to yourself. That's it. Or the answers are, you're only entitled to the answers of finding the answers yourself. No one else is entitled to answers from you, not even your parents. And I know that I say that because it's for me, that's close to my heart. So if I can allow someone that close hold me back, then I can allow anybody to hold me back. So I use someone who is very close, a sibling or a family member. If I can get through that barrier, then I can get through any barrier. And that's just personal for myself, but I know that that's also common for a lot of people. So that's why I say it. But I think we've kind of hit the nail on the head, Kat. I just want to mention one thing, like that what Kat was saying, because I really think it's brilliant, is what's the lesson to be learned here? When it comes to judgment and opinion, it's just an opportunity to grow, just like anything else. It's an opportunity to look at yourself, analyze how you reacted and how you can do better next time, whether it's in a discussion, whether it's a thought out response. It doesn't really matter in the end. You can always sit back and take a lesson, even if it's just life throwing you something that you have no control over. You can always take a lesson from it, because you can sit there like Kat could be sitting in the train station right now, absolutely miserable. Her entire night could be misery. She could go home and bitch about it for the next week and be upset and be negative and whatever else. Or she can work, throw out her computer, get some work done, and take the time to slow down a little bit. And it's whatever we do with it, right? So anything else, Kat, that you want to add before we close off?
I think it was brilliant. I loved your analogy of the silence. I must work on that one. Thank you.
I will share.
Here's the lesson I learned.
I'll quickly share where I learned that, and I'm consciously trying to implement it. Is I've tried, like I mentioned before, I'm trying to improve on filler words. When I talk, I feel like, and this is just an insecurity for myself, so I'm just being real with you guys, but I feel like I need to know what I'm talking about. I can't not know what I'm talking about, or I feel silly. But the truth is, I don't need to know what I'm talking about. I'm learning and growing here with everybody else, and I'm only sharing what I've learned and what I've discovered on this journey, and that's all I can do. So as I speak, and if I lose my train of thought, or I can't remember what I was going to say, or I don't have the words to express what I want to say, I say, like, or Kat, as you know before, I would say, oh, I'm sorry, or I'd apologize, or whatever it might be, right? See, there's the but it, you know, once in a while it's okay. But I've learned, because I did some research on how to improve on that and get past that insecurity. And I've learned that silence is fine, because silence gives the other person time to gather their thoughts. It gives the other person to time to, well, gather their thoughts and get on the same page. Maybe think about what you're saying in a different way, or whatever. Silence is healthy for everybody, not just the speaker, but also for the people listening. So yeah, that's where I kind of learned that. I'm trying to implement it, and when I do calls like this and jump into other calls and just have discussions with other people, even in person, even with my family. If I don't feel like I have something to say that is going to be really helpful or efficient to the other person, or to the conversation, or to the solution that I'm looking for, then I choose silence. And it seems to work. It gives you a break. So yeah.
Absolutely perfect, Brittany. You're doing well. You're doing brilliantly anyway. Lovely to be working with you.
And ditto, back to you, my darling.
Good.
So I will close off. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye for now.